Welcome to the Hiscall Technology Podcast, where we are communicating tomorrow's business needs today. From just outside Nashville, Tennessee, join Hiscall as we discuss all things telephony, data, and infrastructure related to business leaders. Here we go.
When was the last time you spent 1 day, 2 days, maybe even 3 days with no cell phone coverage? I recently joined a couple of coworkers on a camping trip in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Located on the far western side in a relatively remote area of the park is Abrams Creek Campground. The secluded campground offers what we might call a traditional outdoor camping experience. There is no electrical or water hookups at the campsite. There are no showers, and there is no cell phone coverage at the campground. It does have one centrally located water spigot for cold running water, one bear box to keep the black bears from eating your food, one men's and one women's restroom, each with a flushing toilet, and each campsite has a picnic table, a fire ring, and a cooking grate. The campground also has beautiful Abrams Creek flowing peacefully beside the campground. It fills your tent with sounds of rippling waters that soothe and relax you into a restful sleep. The relatively small campground has only 16 campsites. It is one of the smallest campgrounds, and at 1,125 feet, it is at the lowest elevation of any campground in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. While not a 5-star luxury resort, I don't want you getting the idea I was exactly roughing it. My coworkers really know how to set up camp. Bruce and Gordon camp at least a few times a year, and they have it figured out and have made setting up camp almost a science. Sure, we slept in tents, but Bruce works the griddle in the grill like a champ. We ate sausage, eggs, and bacon for breakfast. For dinner, he cooked smash burgers on the griddle and ribeye steaks on the grill. When darkness settled into the camp, you quickly learned Gordon is a master fire builder as he chopped the wood, carefully stacked it for the optimal campfire experience, and soon had flames dispelling the darkness. One of the things I noticed at this remote little campground is how the sun seemed to set earlier. As it began to get dark in the campground, I looked up through the trees. I could see the sky was still fairly bright, but the tree canopy over the campground filtered out the light. When the sun finally set and the moon rose above the mountains, not much moonlight filtered through the trees to the campground. So as quiet hours arrived and campfires began to dwindle, the camp becomes very dark. After enjoying my ribeye steak dinner and good conversation around the fire one night, I settled into the old army cot set up in my tent. As I lay there listening to the rippling waters of Abrams Creek and the croak of an old bullfrog I nicknamed Barry White, I decided to take a quick walk up the hill. I grabbed a little handheld flashlight and, not wanting to disturb my neighbor campers sleeping in their tents, I narrowed the beam of light to only focus on the path for my next step. The top of the hill had a small light shining at the restrooms, and it was easy enough to use that as my directional beacon, as the little flashlight provided light to keep watch on the path where I set my feet with each step, as I kept the light at the top of the hill my target. On the way back, however, there was no light to use as a direction guide. As I descended the hill into the darkness, I kept the narrow beam of light on the path. As I reached the bottom of the hill, I turned left to walk the gravel road to my tent. I glanced up into total darkness, then back to the little circle of light on the path for my next step. As I reached where I thought my tent should be, I quickly lifted the light up to get my bearing. The light shone on a tent. I didn't recognize it. I quickly moved the light to the left and to the right to discover I was standing in the midst of some tents, none of which were mine. They were located on the camp road behind my campsite. Realizing I had turned left one drive too soon, I quickly did a about face and moved back down the drive with a little more pep in my step. I got back on track to reach my tent and settled once again into the old army cot. Barry White croaked me to sleep, no harm, no foul. If not for the narrow beam of light from that little flashlight, I might have walked right into someone else's tent. My fellow campers might have been startled, not knowing if a bear had made his way into the camp and picked up the scent of a bedtime snack laying next to the sleeping bag. Chaos may certainly have erupted in the campground, if not for that little flashlight. Light is good. In fact, the first statement God uttered in the Bible was, "Let there be light." I understand the Hebrew word translated in this context shows light as illumination, something that clarifies, brightens, and brings happiness. The Bible says God saw that the light was good. Light organizes and creates order where otherwise there would be chaos and confusion. What would you do without light? I'm curious, have you ever counted the light sockets in your house? The average U.S. household has 40 light sockets. When I counted up the light sockets in my own house, sure enough, it comes in right around 40. We live in an age that doesn't experience darkness very often. If you have one, go to a dark corner of your basement with no windows, shut off every light, and imagine life with no light forever. It's a pretty intimidating thought, isn't it? I want to welcome you to this episode of the Hiscall Technology Podcast. I am your host, Chuck. On today's episode, I will highlight an innovative lighting solution. We live in a networked world with the Internet of Things. The future of illumination may just be lighting that is actually powered over Ethernet, or PoE. Yes, you heard me right. I'm talking about a solution that combines lighting and network. Genesis Lighting System uses Ethernet network cables to power, control, and monitor LED lighting. With Genesis, you can quickly install your customizable LED lighting fixtures. Lighting technologies and requirements are rapidly changing. Not too long ago, lighting control consisted of an occupancy sensor, most often in a bathroom, but also private offices, that could detect when someone was in the room and turn on the lights. The past few years, many businesses have achieved significant savings retrofitting existing fixtures to accommodate LED lighting with controls layered over the top of the existing AC systems. But these are often not integrated as a complete system. As LED adoption rates continue to rise rapidly, energy codes are also changing, requiring advanced lighting control. The Genesis PoE lighting systems from Innovative Lighting is a fully integrated LED lighting control package. Genesis is comprised of software and hardware, including a variety of optimized LED fixtures, dimming preset wall switches, and multifunction sensors capable of sensing occupancy and vacancy or daylight harvesting that automatically adjust the amount of light provided from the fixture based upon changing daylight availability. The system accomplishes all this using PoE low-voltage technology, powering and controlling all the lighting components over network cables with simple plug-and-play standard RJ45 jacks. The system's fixtures, switches, and sensors are customizable, allowing occupants to control lighting to their exact preference. The system's smart controls are an easy-to-use graphical user interface that provides point-and-click capabilities accessed from your computer, tablet, or your smartphone. After we installed the Genesis PoE lighting system in our Dixon office, a couple of our engineers, Don and Joey, grabbed me one day. With grins on their faces, they told me to go outside and re-enter the building. After questioning them a bit, they told me they had programmed the system and wanted to show me something. So I headed toward the exit door. As I passed one of our conference rooms, Joey instructed me to notice the conference room was dark. I acknowledged the room was definitely dark, and I left the building. After the door closed, I turned to go back inside. I walked up to the locked door, looked into the camera for our facial recognition system to identify me, and instruct the access control system that it was okay to unlock the door for me. Joey met me at the door and instructed me to go back to the conference room. When I arrived, I found the lights were now turned on, but dimmed lightly with red accents on one end of the room. They had integrated the systems to automatically set my conference room preferences when I entered the building. It was really a pretty cool accomplishment. As I entered the building, the systems automatically activated lighting to my preferences, so when I entered the room, it was ready for me to begin and no need to turn on and adjust lighting and systems. The brains of the Genesis lighting system is their IntelliDrive. It's where the system's intelligence resides. You can think of IntelliDrive as a small computer that controls up to 9 devices while using only one PoE port. IntelliDrive simultaneously drives and controls LED lights. From a single PoE port connected to IntelliDrive, you can power and control up to 9 devices, including LED fixtures, sensors, and switches. Since the intelligence of Genesis is not built into the fixtures, IntelliDrive creates a hub, leveraging the total wattage available of a single PoE port to power and control up to 9 devices. With IntelliDrive and easy-to-use software, you're able to fully customize the system components. You can change the function of Genesis wall switches to change light color and light levels. The capabilities of Genesis sensors can be changed for motion sensing, occupancy or vacancy control, and ambient light sensing. Genesis offers a good variety of fixtures to satisfy many different installation requirements. If you are embarking on a new construction project for a new office building or renovating an existing building, consider the Genesis PoE lighting system. Research shows that lighting can improve our mood and energy levels. The amount and type of lighting can directly affect concentration, appetite, mood, and many other aspects of our daily life. In the office, Genesis allows users to take control of their own space to improve their mood and productivity with color and brightness controls. Lighting can also make a big difference in the quality of our video meetings. With individual addressability, you can adjust each fixture's color and brightness for a natural appearance and avoid a washed-out look on the screen. A single button can select a lighting preference while powering up the audio and video. There are many applications where Genesis PoE lighting systems are capable of adding increased value in commercial, educational, healthcare, and institutional settings by leveraging networking technology to power and control integrated LED lighting systems over standard low-voltage Cat 5 or 6 cabling. We'd love to demonstrate the ease of use and customizations for you and your business. If you are in Middle Tennessee area, stop by the office or give us a call and set up a time. We would really love to have you. Thanks for making a little time to download and listen to this episode of the podcast. I do hope you've learned something new. As I close out today, I am reminded of Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? So, don't be afraid. Only believe.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Hiscall Technology Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast so you can stay up to date with today's business communication trends. To learn more about Hiscall solutions for your business needs or to listen to previous podcasts, visit us at our website, hiscall.com.